So here are some of the items that I prepare that we should keep in mind when we go out wall tent camping. These items here, as you can see, as I mentioned in the video, I generally have two of everything. When it comes to articles of clothing, I've got two hats, two pairs of socks, two pairs of underwear, two pairs of gloves, two pairs of pants that are water repellent. I've got some Advil, two lighters, fire starters. I have two main light sources. In this case, I've got the BioLite NanoGrid with the string lights, and I also have the Primus lantern that runs off of butane and propane. And I've got a 3-in-1 cookware set by MSR, and that's very compact and it's stainless steel. I also have a backup battery booster pack that can charge anything USB as well as boost if you're in on snowmobile or any type of machine. You can, if your battery's dead, you can boost it. I've got lots of rope, a GPS. I've got some flares, signal flares. I've got a headlamp. I have two knives, and I also have the Swiss Army knife. I have two hatchets, and the one is actually a 4-in-1 made by Zippo. It's actually a saw, an axe, and a stake puller as well, tent peg stake puller. Toilet tissue is, and I've got the toothbrush, the toothpaste. I've also got some chapstick there. And I've got the Pepto-Bismol chewable tablets. I've got a floor mat, the sleeping bag, the Under Armour gear base layer, snowshoes obviously, and there are a few other items that aren't in this caption here in this picture, but you get the idea. When it comes to preparing for camping, you want to be well prepared, and I like to have two of everything. These tarp clamps come in handy as well for if you're expecting any precipitation with your wall tent. You can quickly put up a tarp over top of the tent and keep everything nice and dry. And as you can see, they're very inexpensive and they're very, very useful. They work great. I would also recommend using these dry sacks, and this one is a 28 liter. You can get them in a variety of sizes. This is a must actually for keeping all of your valuables, electronics, anything that's battery powered, etc., to keep it from getting wet. And I have a number of these. I've got maybe 3 or 4. I've got a variety of sizes, and these ones are thinner, similar to a nylon. I also have the rubber ones. I do like the rubber ones. They're a little more durable, and but these are a must for camping. And that goes with camping with all seasons, not only just winter camping, but 4 seasons out of the year. These are great. What I'm doing here, since my tent frame has been permanent the last few years, it's frozen in the ground. It's going to be a little more warm and comfortable in the wall tent. As you can see, a lot of snow that's removed and gone down to the ground level. So normally I don't do this. Usually I just beat down the surface of the snow, but where the frame is frozen into the ground, this is the easiest method here to set up. So essentially I dug down about 3 feet around the tent frame inside, and my wall tent 7x9. And generally I don't do this, but I could say the frame was frozen in from sitting here the last few years, and every winter it kind of settles a bit. So now that I've got the steps going down and I've got everything shoveled out, I'm going to leave it for overnight. and everything will harden up. It's going down to about -8 degrees tonight, so it'll harden up nicely, and I'll come in and set up the wall tent, and I'll share with you as we progress. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, Dave here. We just got the tent tied up. Took about 10 minutes to tie all the bow nuts. And as you can see, like most people with tent frames, they just got 2 sides on each end, and of course your ridge pole. And where I reside, we got a lot of high winds, so I had an additional pole on the end here, and that just keeps it stable from moving this way. You can also avoid the side sticks that I've tied off to here, but if you do that, then you need either trees alongside to tie to with your guy lines, or you need extremely long guy lines where it takes a lot more time and effort. So I put the stick in along the extra edge here, so that's why these poles are here and here. Anyway, we'll get the wood stove set up now, and we'll show you inside. Stay tuned. So as you can see, I have an adjustable 4-inch elbow on the end of the chimney, and the outside two that come with the stove are galvanized. Makes sense, the galvanized is always on the outside to prevent rust when it's snowing or raining. And we'll walk inside here. And these tents made by Terry's Tents in Goose Bay, Labrador, here in Canada. They've got this flame retardant material where the stovepipe exits the tent. You can, what I like to do is secure a few heavy logs, so if it is windy, it doesn't blow in onto the stovepipe. But it's a good setup. It works well. This type of tent stove here with the folding legs, very compact. All the stovepipe fits into the stove. Once you figure out the stove and how well it burns and the type of wood you're burning, you can get a maximum of about 4 hours. So you can set your alarm in the middle of the night if you want to keep the heat in. I generally don't, for safety reasons, unless somebody else is with me and they're awake, but for the most part, I sleep in a 5-star sleeping bag, so it doesn't matter how cold it gets. And the thing about these sheet metal stoves is instant heat. Once you get the fire going, it doesn't take long for the tent to warm up. So in the mornings, you're only cold for about 5 or 10 minutes, and it's cozy as can be afterwards. Next is this outdoor carpet, this outdoor mat. That's what I purchased this for. Certain times I'll use spruce boughs, other times I like to use this outdoor rug. You can fold it up and take it home with you, and it's very light. Keeps your feet dry, and it serves the purpose. So today I'm just using the single cot by Camo Cot Discobed, the heavy duty, extra large. It's a bunk bed setup. I'm just using the single bunk today. Works very well, especially in a small 7x9. Couple of bunks, and it's a space saver. Anyway, we'll get the sleeping bag opened up, get everything warmed up, and we'll get the fire going. These Camo cots are very well built, very strong, and the setup for going together is pretty straightforward. For a single bunk assembly, the average person will take about 5 minutes to assemble. Disassembly is a little bit quicker, but I like the setup. It's not recommended for light light camping, as they are quite heavy, but they're great for wall tent camping, where weight is generally never an issue. Stay tuned. Well, it's nighttime here with my wall tent. Fire's going, it's nice and warm. It's probably about minus 12 degrees Celsius right now outside. As you can hear with the crunching of the snow, everything is pretty crunchy. And the stars are out. It's a beautiful night. So here I've got my old-fashioned Coleman lantern. Runs off just a basic 1-pound propane cylinder. And I refill those. I've got an adapter to refill with the 20-pounder, and that's what it's running on right now. I also have the BioLite Nano Grid with the string lights attached. And I didn't charge it up before I left to go camping here. And about 2 minutes after I turned it on, I noticed a flash with all the lights. And of course, that's an indication that it's low battery. But that was a couple of hours ago. It's still running, as you can see. So I decided to hook up the propane lantern anyway. And that's just a single cot that I have set up. I haven't opened up my sleeping bag yet. It is really warm in here. One thing I should mention, when you're choosing a location, whether it be lakeside, lakefront, or out in the middle of the bush, you do want to set up your tent. If you're not bringing your firewood with you for the wood stove, for the wood burner, I suggest finding an area that's nearby a lot of dead standing or windfalls with dry wood like this. And preferably stuff that you don't have to split. It's probably about 20-25 degrees in here right now, and that's Celsius, so it's above room temperature. I've got some moose sausages and some homemade baked beans that are going to go on the stove shortly, so stay tuned. So everyone, when you are out wall tenting, camping in a wall tent, whether it be cold climate or any time of the year, a few tips, I guess, that I would like to throw to you guys and gals that are watching is have 2 of everything, whether it be a change of clothes. You always have to have warm clothes, and unexpectedly you may end up working up the sweat, and then you've got no extra clothes with you. So extra clothes, as well, whatever you're using for cutting tools for harvesting your firewood to keep warm. 2 hatchets, 2 buck saws, 2 portable saws. I know a lot of you are saying, well, there's not enough room to carry all that gear when you're camping. Well, through my personal experience when setting up with a wall tent in particular is not a compact or light unit. It is quite heavy. So generally speaking, you are going to be having a lot of gear with you anyway. So just plan ahead, mark everything down on a note, double check your note before you go to make sure that you've got everything. You've got to have a water source. You've got to have a heat source. For example, me coming out here tonight, I have my BioLite Nano Grid. Forgot to charge it up before I left. And it's a good thing I did take the Coleman lantern behind me here, or I wouldn't have had a very good light source. I also have a headlamp. A headlamp is great if you're working by yourself, if you're solo camping. You need two hands to get set up or whatever work that you're doing at the campsite. So a headlamp is a good idea. You want to ensure that you have no dead standing widowmaker trees that are nearby your campsite, near your tent. If the wind happens to pick up, it can collapse down over the tent and cause serious injury. Any other tips I'll share with you throughout this video. I'll give you I'll show you a list of things that I take with me when I am going out with the wall tent, and if there's anything that you suggest that could be added, feel free to leave them in the comment section in this video below. Stay tuned.